This is a piece of an old drive shaft off a truck, and I'm going to cut about 6 inches off the end of it to make a collar to protect that upper bearing on the axle. I've got the cut off piece of that drive shaft, and then I cut a disc out. Got my electrode on here. I'm just going to spot weld this on there just to make sure it's in place, and then I'll come back and run bead all the way around it. Well, I don't think I could ever get paid to work on a pipeline, but that ought to get that done. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this in the lathe and clean this edge up and get me a hole bored in the end. Okay, I got this in the lathe. I used a square to kind of square it up because the cut down here on the end from the bandsaw is not exactly straight. I'm going to get a drill a hole in the end here so I can get my center in there to help steady it, and then I'm going to come in here and get this cleaned up. Alright, let's see if we can get this cleaned up. Not absolutely perfect, but it doesn't matter at all. That's on there nice, and that should work great. Okay, so the next thing I got to do is drill out my hole to fit over the axle. Alright, here we go. We're going to go up to 7/8 on this. I think we're now ready to put this thing together. And here's our parts. This is our axle, our crossbar that our wheels are going to be on. Here's the cap that we made to keep sand out of the bearing. The O-ring to stick on there. Okay, let's try to get this thing. This is an old tub of grease I've had forever. Alright, so let's see. First thing is a bearing. Goes right there. The next thing is this cap. I want to put this O-ring on there. Then spin it around, get the bearing on this end. And let's go ahead and get a nut on here to keep this bearing in place. Okay, now, what I want to make sure of, pull this cap off here. Yeah, that's more like what I was looking for. Okay, that's what I was worried about a minute ago, because there's a the size of the bearing, inside the bearing is bigger than this, so I want to make sure that that was completely covered by the bearing. So, okay, this is ready to put this on. And I actually could back this off just a little bit because I need to be able to get that key away all the way in there. There. Okay. Now we'll put the key in there. Get our arm put on. There we go. Yeah, it's coming together. Alright. Put that on. Okay, and that's our axle installed. It's got that end and this end, and then I just got to get this pulley put on. I've got some conduit, just electrical conduit in my bandsaw, and I'm just cutting it at kind of a random angle that I think will be good for the feet. And I'm going to get this trim this first end off. Alright, and I want them to be roughly 24 inches. Just need 3 more. Alright, there's got to be an actual correct way to line these up. I don't know what it is. So I just kind of looked at them like this and found what I thought was the farthest, the longest point, put a mark on it. And then this is where we laid it out to put our braces in. It's already got lines. So I'm going to put one here, 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 and here. So I just line this up with the... Just lining this up with all those marks. Tack, and I'll keep doing that all the way around. Alright, I got carried away here and I've gotten quite a bit done, and I didn't film much of it, so I was just going to kind of catch you up. Okay, so I've got our large pulley mounted down here on the bottom, and let's see here. Here's the small pulley mounted on this motor. This is a motor that I've had since I was like 15 years old. It's a gear motor, Dayton. Here's the specs on it if anybody cares. And it's all made from salvage stuff. So okay. So anyway, to get it lined up, I took a piece of 3-inch angle iron and I marked up to, I had to do some measurements on the pulley here to find out how far down it needed to come. And anyway, cut this piece. I've tack welded it. I'm going to haul all this stuff outside later on and get it, welded up well. But and then just let's see. Let me get around the other side and show you. Okay, so then I just took a straight edge, put it right on the edge of that pulley, and then right on the edge of this pulley, and use that to get it lined up. The motor is mounted just on a hinge. You can see right here, it's just a door hinge that's bolted onto the angle iron and then bolted onto one of the flanges of the motor, and that gives me some where it'll bend there. And then over here I've got a bolt. It looks like I'm going to have to get a longer one because if the belt stretches any, I can't go any farther. I'll have to put I could put something under here to move it out. But anyway, that's to tighten the belt up. And let me, okay, I'm gonna stand it up and then we'll start this thing up. While I've still got this on my bench, I want to try to make a chute to, this is the trap door that the sand's going to fall out of. This is the bottom of the Muller. And the trap door is here. And if I open this trap door right now, sand's going to fall onto this pulley. So I want to make a chute to direct it out a little bit and contain it, and so it can drop into a bucket. So I've taken this just angle gauge and kind of lined it up as to what I think's going to give me a pretty good angle to miss this. I want it as steep as possible. I'd rather have it go straight down, but you know, because the sand might just sit there, you know. So I want it to be as steep as possible, but also want to have some pretty good clearance around this pulley. So okay, so I've got this angle here. I've made a couple of measurements, and so the next thing is we're going to draw up a cardboard pattern. Alright, so here's your little bit different shot. We're still looking down. Here's our pulley, here's our trap door, here's our chute. And let's see, you can get it right on that corner right there. Pull it in. Same thing there. Okay. Alright, we've got clearance underneath between this and the pulley down here. Down in here. We got, oh, probably maybe 3/4 of an inch or something like that. So I think this is gonna work really well. All right, so that's our chute right there. Okay, so now I just gotta find a piece of sheet metal, then we'll transfer this onto that sheet metal. All right, this is a piece of air conditioning duct. It was round. And it's a little lighter than what I was wanting, but that's all I got, so we're going to use it. Alright, I got me some tin snips and I got me some gloves. Okay, so if you don't have a brake like this, you can also do it on the edge of a table like we did the cardboard pattern. They also sell these things that you kind of grab it with that and bend it, and we'll actually be using those here in a minute, I'm sure. Be to the outside. So I'm going to line it up here. Push it. I'm going to just push it. I'm going to hit it over with a mallet. Alright, that's got that edge. do the opposite one. Okay. Alright, now we'll pull this one up. Well, wait. I gotta get myself a mark on the other side so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Alright, that's got those edges turned. So if we fold it like this, then these go the other way. Okay, let me get me a mark on the other side here. And here. There. Well, let's see. You know, I probably want to go ahead and turn these. So let me do that. I don't really know what I'm doing here. So some of you guys are probably going, no, you're painting yourself in a corner, which I probably am. When you're doing this, you can get where you've made bends and then you can't get it in your machine anymore. So anyway, let's see if I messed up here. I can still get it. I'll just have to use different tools. So let's go ahead and give this a bend. And we'll bend this. I actually have some wider jaws for this thing. I'm just kind of being lazy and not wanting to change them out. That might be a mistake. There we go. Okay. So there, I can push that over. And let me get a little piece of 2x4 to set it up on. I'm going to punch some holes. Probably 1, 2, 3. Another one. Then 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to put this up on there, and I'm going to just do a little spot weld on there, because if I use screws or anything, they're going to go up into the Muller where the scraper blades are and all, and that just seems like more trouble than it's worth. So, alright, so let me get something, we'll punch some holes. Alright, so one hole here. This is a punch I just got from Grizzly. You could also, they sell them lots of different places. You could also just use a drill bit, but you know, drilling sheet metal is a little dicey. Okay, kind of random on the spacing, but alright, next thing we'll do is get this welded to our bottom. This is the trap door where the sand will come out in the bottom, and I took it out because I can't get it out without, I need to put some kind of handle on it. So this is an old piece of carriage bolt I had in my stack of salvage junk. So I'm going to just stick it on there like that. Alright, I think that'll hold it. And it'll work better when it's standing up too.